Hey there everybody, it's me, DioGenZ, and it's time to play Pokemon Conquest. On today's episode, we are mainly focusing on training our newly gained warriors, like Ginchio. Let's give her a go. See how she is at commanding our army. Our pride will not be defeated, or will not permit defeat, whatever. She is strong enough. She will definitely boost our warriors' max potential when taking on the remaining two kingdoms out of Nobunaga's control. Kenshin's territory, that's the Psychic Warlord, and Shingen's area, which he mains on ground-type Pokemon. So you may be wondering, which are we going to train up for? Which is more important to defeat? Well, they're both very important, and the manner of which you take them on is the same, in that they won't directly take you on, they won't accept your challenge, they need you to get stronger. And no, not even this training that we're doing this episode is going to bring us that strength. You'll have to engage them one time and you'll see what I mean, but we'll wait for that in another episode. The point is, we're going to need a lot stronger warriors and Pokemon by our side. Otherwise, we're going to be getting creamed. These two are even feared by Nobunaga, and he has 8 kingdoms. Okay, 2 warlords, scaring big bad Nobunaga, the guy who in real human history used guns to obliterate people. And yes, somebody corrected me that it wasn't just samurai swords. A lot of times there was just battles in the woods and one-on-one combat with samurai, but oftentimes during a war situation they would have archers, so there would be some sort of projectile, I suppose, but comparatively to guns, yeah, try to reload when you're facing down the barrel of a shotgun. Try to reload your arrow from the quiver fast enough without quivering and dropping the ball, or dropping the arrow, which then eventually would drop your life. So that guy, Nobunaga, that badass, is afraid of these two warlords, and it just hurts Shinx the most. So let's move over here and not do any damage at all to Shinx. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Don't you hate that when you press the A button way too fast? I always do that playing the main RPG. I get used to just mainlining one attack because it's super effective, just like that is right there for Pignite, and the payback of a Jagged Edge. But it will screw me over at times. I'm sure that's all happened to you. Are you sure you'd like to quit and not save? Yes. No! For example. So we are going to have to train up. I'm planning to take on Shingen's territory first. And that the only reason that I'm doing that is specifically because I've played this game before. The last time I played it as Nobunaga's Ambition on my channel, so it's all recorded there if you're curious what the other side of the battle would have looked like, which is pretty cool. And it's not normal that I do both versions so you could see what happens. Well, actually I shouldn't say that because I did do black and white on my channel, but it's split across 2 channels. So if you're really curious, you can see what the Elusio Kingdom takeover is like. But we're going to be taking on Shingen this time and his ground team. If you ask me which one is tougher to defeat, I would say that the Kingdom of Elusio and Kenshin with his warriors is a lot tougher to beat. It's not that they're stronger than Kenshin's army, or rather Shingen's army, but the way that their map is laid out, it's an interesting territory. And since we're not going to be ever going to Elusio to take on a boss unless we're invaded once we do claim that kingdom, because it is inevitable, eventually we will take claim of even those kingdoms that Nobunaga already netted up north. Eventually we'll take them back. For the side of justice and the preservation of the Ronsei region, because come on, what kind of wish is that? The super powerful Pokemon that created Ronsei and all its warriors and the Pokemon inhabiting it. Once Nobunaga gets a hold of it, he's just going to say, screw it, I'm flipping the game board. They're all doomed. Destroy what you just created, mysterious legendary Pokemon that we soon will find out who it is. I mean, is that just some way to taunt that legend. Like, I don't like this guy. He always evaded my capture, so now, once he is in my control, now that I have this little loophole of collecting all the Ransei kingdoms, and then using it to bring out this legendary, I'm gonna trick him. I'm gonna make him destroy what he loves. It seems so cruel. And I guess that's why Nobunaga is often interpreted as such a heartless brute in the video games. Again, the only time I've ever seen Nobunaga in a video game is Sakura Wars So Long My Love on the Wii. Great game if you're looking for a Wii U game before Wii U comes out. I'm not completely sold on Wii U, so my Wii is still kicking. Just like that jagged edge is still poking. And we had 7 turns, so that should be enough to get Yoshimoto. Let's see. Ah, the fool. He's running away like a baby. Like a sad clown, Yoshimoto flees. Alright. We will catch him eventually. And just in case you were curious like I was, did I do something wrong? Did I have to catch Yoshimoto off his game after less than the turn limit we had? So I restarted. Tried to catch him in 8 turns, and even after defeating him in 8, or less than 8, I shouldn't say 8 turns, maybe 2 turns, but we have one of our warriors, the Tepig owner, evolving his flaming fighter finally into Pignite. So, cool. Even though I did nothing wrong and Yoshimoto is just going to have to be found later on in the game, I now have a powerful Pignite at my side, and he's got a massive attack. Oh, I tell you, I've been clobbered by that Pignite in the past. Not that particular one by that warrior, but there has been a warrior in Nobunaga's army that has really squashed me before. Actually, no, wait. It's not even Nobunaga's army. Well, actually, now I'm starting to cross the stories here because, as you would have guessed, there is a post-game. So, the Nobunaga's Ambition main game. I said it again, didn't I? But this main game is far from all you'll be doing in the entire game. There's a whole separate quest that you are to be going on, and it's pretty awesome. And in that altered quest, that was where I got my butt kicked by the Pignite trainer. And he's actually under Shingen's command. I don't think he has a Pignite at this point, but he may in that other version. So before I got derailed in what I was saying about Elusio's map by Yoshimoto and our failure to capture him, hey, at least we got Pignite, why it is more difficult, I feel, because of the terrain. Well, it involves warp points. As you would imagine, teleportation would play a big role in the map of the Psychic-type Warlord. It makes sense, it really does. But these aren't as easy to navigate as the warp portals in Saffron City when you went to Sabrina's gym, or having to deal with the warp panels and sliding panels of Team Rocket's hideout in Celadon City way back when. No, you see, these portals are a bit pesky, because they change their area. Much like Portal, the game, you have to, well, actually not really, as far as going to the reciprocating color, but like Portal, when you go through one of these warp points, it will send you to the other side where the other reciprocating similar color is. So if you see a green portal, it's going to lead to the other side of the map where there is another green portal. It doesn't go green to blue and yellow to red, so it's not complicated in the least bit. The thing that makes it a bit difficult and annoying to deal with, especially when you're just trying to pwn your opponent, is that they switch their area. You may have a green portal on the start of the map, but by the time maybe even 3 turns goes, because they do switch around the map pretty swiftly in order to mix up the fighting, they change their position. So you may have a green, and you turn around, it's red, and it does not go to the same area that you were thinking about going a couple of turns ago. This can be especially frustrating when you have larger lumbering warriors on your side who don't have that many move spaces and take a while to lag on over to whatever portal you're trying to send them through. You could be on the 1 turn away from getting to where you needed to be in Elusio in order to destroy Kenshin's army, but then, boom, the portal changes color, and immediately you're warped somewhere else that you didn't want to be. So that's the majorly frustrating thing about fighting Kenshin's army. It's the terrain. It's pretty simple in that it's similar to Motonari's battle. Remember the Motonari original banner battle? It's not so much like the battle that we just had in Pugilis with Yoshihiro, because in that banner claiming area, you could be knocked off the banner. You don't have to worry about falling off the sides of Elusio, which is good because you play on these large floating crystalline map segments. I highly recommend, if you really love this game, to go check out that video. It's in a playlist on my channel, and it's Kenshin Conquering, I believe, is the episode, because it's a very interesting map. It looks cool, and it definitely takes a lot more strategy. You kind of have to pre-plan where you're going to send your team. You have to separate them accordingly and make sure that Kenshin doesn't grab all the flags, so leave a substitute or someone sitting on the flag. Maybe that's where you'd want to keep your lumbering warlord or warrior that's at your side, because since he can't make it too quickly through the portals in time, it's best to just hold down the fort until you can properly dispose of Kenshin's army. What's really nice you'll notice about that battle is that Kenshin, I haven't ever fought him where he's left the banner. So the banner that he sits on is the one that'll stay on for the entire game, which is great because he possesses a Gallade, and Gallade's Psycho Cut is freaking ridiculous in damage. I don't care who you send over there, the only thing that could resist it is a Dark type, and unfortunately I've not seen one Dark type yet on any of the maps that we've been in any of the kingdoms we've claimed yet. So that's not an option. So that's why I do believe that Shingen's army is a lot easier to take on. It's a race to the flags. There's only 3 banners. There's only 3 flags. I will mention both terms. Interchangeably mention both. But the thing is, you have assistance from the map, and you'll see what I mean when we get there. I'll leave that for the actual episode where we talk about that strategy. But it's not that Kenshin's battle is boring or it's really that much more difficult. They both have a significantly higher power level than yours if you don't go in with a proper set of warriors and Pokemon, so make sure you analyze the power level. I want to remind people that type advantage is simply just not enough. Even if we had, going out of order here, or even let's not go out of order here, let's say that we had a Katoni on our side and we were going to take on Motochika just with that one Katoni. Our power level would be puny, even though we possess the super effective source to take out his army. We need other members, one, so we can build a good strategy of tactics to elude the enemy and divert them away from our specific hitters, or in the case of banners, our banner grabbers. And for that you need a good team, one that has a well-balanced power level. You don't want to have a major hole in your power level when you see it on the comparison screen right before you go into battle. You don't want that because 2 out of 6 of your team members was left behind in some forgotten kingdom and you didn't train them. That's why I'm including all the training episodes that I do. For the most part, I do believe that I will continue to do that, unless it gets ridiculously spammy, which, like I've said in past episodes, I haven't noticed this game to do that to you too much. There may be certain points where it's necessary, but for that, at the very least, I will fast forward the footage so I can show you what it takes to be a Master Warlord that defeats Nobunaga. But that's why it's important to come back to the older kingdoms and make sure that you delegate what the warriors there do. Delegation is a very easy thing to forget, but it's a very important trait to be having for your warriors and warlords in whatever kingdom that you're going to be delegating to. So delegation is good for finding allies on your team, and I do recommend doing it for the kingdoms that you've more recently caught. I have noticed that there's been a decline of any kingdom that I delegated to search on the inner southmost side of the Ransei region. I'm talking about Motochika and Motonari's area, even what is Hideyoshi? Yeah, he does not. It's not really. Ignis is not really a great place. Greenleaf or Fontaine, not a great place to search for new comrades when we have Pugilists, we still even have Cresselia, which is still relatively new. You want to shoot for the areas that are on the fringes to do the search delegations. If you have an army like this one, a sub-army, that's not made of the strongest fighters, I mean, not trying to downgrade Machop's power level, he just one-hit KO'd, karate chopped that Bidoof, but that's not too hard, it's only Bidoof. But even if you have a weaker team like this, where it's a lot of unevolved Pokemon, a lot of kind of death fodder Pokemon, I guess you could say, like the Magikarp until it evolves finally, then it would be wise to delegate to increase the gold searching capabilities of that area. And I forget what that delegation is on the menu selection, but whatever it is, whatever makes your teammates have higher energy levels to search for gold, do it for the ones that are not going to be fighting your main kingdom battles. If they're not going to see any warlord action, you rarely have to worry about them doing any seeking. Just keep them off into the well-claimed kingdoms like Fontaine, like Aurora, and do some gold digging. Do some power level increasing. This way, once they go into the mines, they'll be able to bring back a lot for the team. And that helps the warriors that are doing the main fighting, because it's a reciprocating thing. It's all vital that you use the most of each turn. Because if you don't, well, then you're not going to have enough items for recovery in those big important battles that you'll be fighting with your main warrior and warlord Pokemon team. So it's important to go back, train, train, train. It is vital. But you can already see that. I mean, please, it is like night and day. This game will show you that if you neglect any type of training in between battle sequences with warlords, you will get death spanked, if you even know what game I'm talking about. But you'll get the spank of death from your opponent, because once we underestimated Hideyoshi and his funny voice, hey, little did I know he was a powerful warlord in ancient Japanese history. Not even ancient, but older, past Japanese history. Once we underestimated him, we were severely defeated by his warriors and mainly his Chimchar. His map did us in a little bit as well, but I'm not going to get all butthurt about the map defeating us when it was clearly Hideyoshi's superior strategy that did us in. So strategy is one of the most important things, but the only way that strategy will have any weight in the real battlefield is if we do the discipline training beforehand. It's the same kind of concept of doing anything, really. If you're lifting weights, getting ready for some kind of, I don't know, cross-country competition, you're going to be training every day. Really, that kind of concept of discipline training and doing things repetitively, repetition creates retention. I like to always say R squared. Repetition creates retention. And basically, that is as it suggests. The more you do something, the better you'll be at it. So the more Let's Plays, walkthroughs, and videos I do, the better quality I get, and you could even see the progression on my channel. I used to record gameplay with my Handycam, and I mean, there was a time where I thought it was acceptable to have a tilted DS screen and black bars coming into the fizzingness of the TV recording that I was doing. So everything in training, everything stacks on itself. But that's what seems to be the most difficult thing for people to grasp, at least people who don't like or lack a discipline, as I say. They are not Karate Duo number 1. And I am combining a couple of things there, but it's far too short of time left in this training episode to explain it all. We'll have to explore the vast, humorous caverns of my mind in another training episode, but there will be plenty. But that's the thing. If you can't grab hold of some true discipline and hunker down to what needs to be done, even if it is true work, and not that this is work, no, this is pure play, but it does take true ambition to finish a game, and in the past I haven't had that. There have been many games that I haven't finished simply because the fighting got too tough, the last end boss had too many forms to where I didn't feel like fighting it anymore, and those games are forever lost in some of my closets and boxes gathering dust, so that is quite disappointing. But imagine if it was something more important in my life, like a job that I could have gotten but didn't. Well, hey, even this is my job now. I am an official Pokemon trainer. That's what I'm paid to do by Fullscreen. If I stopped and neglected my Pokemon training, I would become stupid. I would become much less of a trainer than I am. You could already see that in my Pokemon of the Week videos. Haven't had a lot of metagame action in a while, so I'm rusty, and it shows. But the more that I do it, the more retention rates that I upgrade by repetition, the better it is for everyone. Pignite! Watch Pignite pulverize this Venipede. This is such a satisfying move to be holding on my team. You don't even know. It's funny because the battle that I had in Nobunaga's Ambition with that particular Pignite that we'll be seeing the pre-evolution of in Shingen's territory, you know, I recorded that, but it was such a small time span in between importation, I decided, you know what, let's save all the post-game activity for when I could actually read what's going on here. And I'm glad I did, because the story's a lot more satisfying, obviously, because I know what's going on. And I'll be perfectly happy completing this in 100% method in the English I understand. Yes, not the English that I don't understand, the broken English. Now, I like broken English too. I love accents, if you couldn't tell from all of the past accents I've done for the warlords we've met so far. And I continue to keep it up. I don't know what else I can pull out of my ass, but we'll see. We shall see. Forget how many, well, I guess 9, right? No. 11 more warlords left, I would say. I think, maybe. I might be wrong, and you guys can yell at me in the comments like trolls do. But it's all cool. You're all helping. That's the fun thing about trolls. Even if they do get ridiculous, you can still learn a lot from them. Let's go! Ah, we have not really come to this area yet, I just realized. And so now you get to see the wild area, I suppose we could describe it as, in Pugilis. Now some of you may be a little bit doubtful of why I'm training my spiel up and mainlining a Joltik, even though Oichi does not have the best link with it. Well, for one, Oichi's reason, I don't really like Jigglypuff. I try using it in Brawl. It's pathetic. I mean, I'm sure that I'm more pathetic because there is certainly someone out there who can pwn with a Jigglypuff, but it's not me. I just can't. It's far too predictable with that rollout move. If you're only facing one-on-one, it's more apt for fighting on a, 4-player matchup, something on Wi-Fi where not everyone is paying attention, and boom, you can hit them with a super effective rollout. But I've never really raised a Jigglypuff, not in Brawl, not in any of the RPGs. I have no real connection with it one-on-one. When it comes to the Spiel, though, and the Joltik, I've definitely raised them. I've had a Walrein on my EV train team, and I've had a Galvantula, as many have tried to correct my pronunciation. I like being goofy and saying Galvantula, but Galvantula. I've had one on my black and white team, so I know it a lot better. I can understand its potential, and I think its special attack pwns! So hopefully it has a high regular attack in this game, because remember, the only stats we need to know are attack, defense, and speed. Speed being the ability to evade opponents' moves, and strike first, attack being the power of your move, and defense how many hits from your opponent you can take. Well, I think this time limit has taken up all of the time for this episode for training, so see you next time, in which we will be doing something. Not sure if we're strong enough yet, but we shall see.